Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Human race, life, God, universe. These are things which fascinate us, baffle us, and even sometimes puzzle us too. Are there answers for these? Is the doubt all of us have in our minds. There are more than adequate answers, says our ancient treasures. However, due to modern life and cycle, we find it extremely difficult to comprehend any of these truths. And as generations pass by, the disconnect is only widening. And we are slowly reaching a stage where a modern mind tends to believe that life starts with birth and ends with death, and there is nothing before it or after life. And therefore, this solitary life, this single life which we have got now, needs to be thoroughly enjoyed. So there is no attempt to make an inquiry as to what is the connect between this life, God, and the universe, even though many of us still are curious to know about it. This audio series is a humble attempt just to reach out to you the very little we know in trying to understand what life has to give us and what we need to give back to this universe and what is the connect. The source text which will be followed in this audio series is Panchadasi. It is a treatise comprising of 15 chapters, authored by the 11th and the 12th Acharyals of Sringeri Saradha Peetam, Jagadguru Bharati Thirtha Mahaswamigal and Jagadguru Vidyaranya Mahaswamigal. Both of them were brothers in the Purvashrama. In fact, the 11th Acharya was the younger brother and the 12th Acharya the elder brother. But the 11th Acharya took the sannyasam first and followed his immediate guru, the 10th Acharya, Jagadguru, Srimad Vidyatirtha Mahaswamigal. And then the elder brother took the sannyasam and became the 12th pontiff of the Peetam. It is believed that the first 6 chapters were authored by Jagadguru Srimad Vidyaranya Mahaswamigal. The 7th, 11th to the 15th chapters by Jagadguru Srimad Bharati Thirtha Mahaswamigal, and the 8, 9 and 10 by both of them or either one of them. These 15 chapters deal with the foundational principle of life, Sat, Chit, Anandam. Meaning, Sat is existence, Chit is consciousness, and Anandam is bliss, and its relevance and connect to our daily life, light, and love. There are some threshold requirements before we get into this subject, is the guidance given to us. One must have the curiosity and aptitude to know about it. 2, one must constantly think about what is being discussed. And 3, one can approach it very logically and in a rational way, because this is not going to be talking about karmas, pujas or prayers. It is something quite abstract, and you are entitled to apply your logical and rational thinking into it. These 15 chapters, broadly divided into 5 each. The first 5 chapters deal with Sat, that is existence. The second 5 deal with Chit, that is consciousness. And the third 5 deals with Anandam, that is bliss. With this introduction, let us get into the study from tomorrow. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Let's broadly classify everything into 2 categories. I, the one who is the experiencer, and the rest as something which has been experienced. So we will call the experiencer as I, and that which has been experienced as this. Let's take first the experiencer and deal with him. We broadly classify our states into 3. The waking state, the dream state, and the deep sleep state. Now, at the waking state, our body, our mind, our intellect, and our senses, all of them are quite active. In the dream state, the body goes to rest. The mind creates its own imaginary body, imaginary world, and mind and intellect remain active in the dream state. In the deep sleep state, neither the body, nor the mind, nor the intellect, nor the senses are in an active state. Everything gets suspended temporarily. But let us understand the cognizer or the experiencer in all the 3 states. Let's take the waking state. In the waking state, how do we enjoy or suffer an experience? It is because of our senses. Our ears hear sounds. Our eyes identify forms. Our nose smells. The tongue tastes. And the skin feels touch. Any experience that has to occur to us occurs only out of these 5 combinations. The combinations will vary. Take sounds, there will be multiple different forms of sounds. Taste, multiple. They all go in multiples. But ask the question to yourself. See, the ear may hear and the eye may see. There is a difference to that extent. But the person who experiences it, the enjoyer or the sufferer of the experience, does he change? Do we have experiencer A for the eye, experiencer B for the ear, and experiencer C for the tongue? The experiencer remains one, even though the experiences may be multiples. Now come to the dream state, it's the same. Only thing, the body is under rest, the mind is active, it creates its own world, and you experience different sorts of things. Here again, does the experiencer remain the same? The answer has to be in the affirmative. Now come to the deep sleep state. Now you will put a question. In these 2 states, yes, there is an experiencer. But in the deep sleep state, neither the body, nor the mind, nor the senses, nor the intellect works. They are all completely dormant. All right. Does it mean that there is no experiencer at all? Ask that question to yourself. So you are put into a dark room. You don't see any objects, but you still see darkness, and come to a conclusion that you are not able to see any objects. Don't we undergo the same experience in deep sleep? When we get up, we say, we have not seen anything. How could you say, we have not seen anything? Unless otherwise, somebody has cognized it. So the question that is posed to all of us is, A, between the senses, are we having different experiencer? Answer is no. Then, between the three states, for waking state it is experiencer A, for dream state it is B, and for deep sleep it is C. Are we saying so? No. We find the same experiencer in all the three states. Then they ask the next question, was it the same yesterday? Yes. Will it be the same tomorrow? Yes. Was it the same the previous week? Yes. Was it the same the previous month, previous year, and years along? The answer is yes. Then I put forth the question, was it the same to other people? Was experience the same? The answer is yes, experience is the same for everyone. So does it not pose an interesting question? If so, who is that experiencer? Who is neither the body, nor the mind, nor the senses, nor the intellect. And it is not something associated only with us, because others also feel the same. So the same experiencer is also somewhere else. He is located everywhere. And therefore, can we say there is an experiencer who has been in existence always? Sat. And remember, for an object of experience, it needs light. Unless you show light, you can't see an object. But this experiencer is not an object. It experiences on its own. It is self-luminous. It is active. And therefore, it remains conscious all throughout. Chit. Now, what about Anandam? Ask a question to yourself. Forget the people who want to commit suicide. That's an extreme exception. Normally, all of us want to live and live happily forever. That's the instinct we have, we carry in us. So what drives us to think so? See, we may like a particular object, we may like a particular food, but we may not like it always. When we are sick, we can't eat it. We may like a particular friend, but when things are not in good terms, we may try to ignore him or her. It's natural. Therefore, all this come and go, but something within us keeps prompting us to live happily forever. And therefore, it exhibits Ananda. Sat, existence, Chit, conscious, and bliss, Ananda, is something which appears to be the substratum of us. It's the substratum for me. It's also the substratum for you. And it also becomes the substratum for the entire universe. One single Sat, Chit, Anandam, whom we call it as the experiencer. Let's continue tomorrow. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. When we say that the underlying substratum is Sat, existence, Chit, consciousness, and Anandam, bliss, most of us may agree on the first two. It's quite, at least there is a possibility. But all of us in unison will raise one objection. How do you say it is Anandam, it's joy or bliss? We don't understand that, because If something is going to give us that anandam, why should we be chasing happiness and pleasures in the material life in this universe? Where is the need? Why should our senses be drifted and going away there? And therefore we suspect whether the theory of anandam is actually true or not. It's a genuine objection raised. And therefore the authors come out with an answer. They say there is something called superficial knowledge and something called penetrative knowledge. On a prima facie view, whatever we raise looks very appealing. After all, we don't see it, we don't feel it, we don't perceive it, and we don't derive any happiness out of it as far as we know. But you want us to believe that it is filled with bliss, an unparalleled anandam. And therefore this objection. Now, both the authors take us step by step in the following course. Step 1. Are we not aware of the aspect called distortion? What do you mean? An illustration is given. When a son of a parent is a good singer, is a school boy, and is in a gathering of say 20-30 people, he renders a music session together. The parents are able to see him and hear his voice, but not in isolation. It is distorted because there is a mix-up. So, in this case, the distortion comes out of mixed noise or voices throwing out at the same time. The second example is, let's take a lamp. A lamp covered with a complete opaque glass. One cannot see that lamp at all. Or a lamp which is translucent with grounded glass. One can see the light but not the lamp. And a lamp which actually has no glass covering at all. They proceed to say, in the first case, because of its opaqueness, the presumption is there is no light inside it. So when we are totally ignorant, when we are totally distorted, which many of us are, modern minds say, hey, what is all this God here? It's all hype. It's all to make us slaves. There's nothing like that. Complete opaqueness. There is no need or a drive to know it, and they come to the conclusion that nothing exists. That is one way. 2, like a translucent glass, where they see the light but not the lamp. They can confuse that it's the glass which is producing the light. As many of us again are. We think, yeah, all you say is right, but that is traceable. That Sat Chittanandam is traceable to the body. It is traceable to the mind. It is traceable to the buddhi. It's traceable to the senses. Not something which you say, which is a stranger to all these things. That is unacceptable. And the penetrative, knowledgeable person finally see that it's not it's the opaque glass or the translucent glass which makes the lamp glow either imperfectly or losing sight of the lamp, and therefore they throw the glass away and see the light itself. Therefore, distortions are common in human life. That's the point, first. And therefore, both the Acharyals say, what is happening to most of us is, this question is asked out of distortion or ignorance. Unless we logically accept this aspect, a further exploration and explanation is not possible. Let us assume we are distorted so that we will try to know what more they have got to say. Let's see it. So, the first step they try to drive home the message is distortion. And what do they mean by this distortion? They say This Sat Chit Ananda, this gets reflected through three mediums or gunas, which all of us are aware. All of us know Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. Because all of us see it in ourselves and we see it in the rest of the fellow human beings. And also in inanimate matters. So they take us to the next step. The distortion happens only because this gets reflected through these three gunas and give three outputs. When Sat Chit Ananda reflects on a pure Sattva, completely dominating Rajas and Tamas, it assumes the form of Iswara or God. When the same Sat Chit Ananda reflects through a medium where Rajas dominates, subduing the Sattva and Tamas, it becomes Jivas like all of us. And when the same Sat Chit Ananda gets reflected on a medium where Tamas dominates, subduing both the Rajas and the Sattva, then they become matter, the rest of the universe. So we have three positions: God or Iswara, human beings or Jivas, or rest as matter. These three outputs emerge only because of the reflecting medium. One being pure Sattva, one being impure Sattva, Tamas, dominated by Rajas, and the last completely dominated by Tamas. And the next step they proceed to say is the difference between Iswara and Jiva, we the human beings, is even though both, they say, the reflection of Iswara through Sattva is called, that medium, reflecting medium is called Maya. And the reflecting medium which results in Jivas like us is called Avidya. We interchange these terms as Maya. For convenience sake, let's understand it as Maya. Therefore, this Sat Chit Ananda, when it is reflected through Maya, the distortion is called Maya. Then that prevents us from knowing what the truth is. Then what is the difference between God and Jiva? That's the question we'll naturally pose, for which the answer: both are gripped by Maya or Avidya, God and Jivas, human beings. But the difference is, because Satchitananda reflects on pure Sattva, which is Iswara, Iswara is controller of this Maya. Maya is under his control and command. On the contrary, in the case of Jivas like us, the same Maya controls us. We are slaves of Maya. In the case of Iswara, he is a master of Maya. In the case of Jiva, we are slaves of Maya. And the second truth is, because Sattva is pure, the reflection is only one. Therefore, Iswara is one. Whereas when it comes to impure Sattva and Rajas dominated, it results in multiples, and therefore multiple Jivas. Multiples are much more in Tamas, therefore multiple matters. So the point today is, we are unable to understand the Ananda because there is a distorting medium. Let's continue to